Hey, we're here at the 2024 Model T Ford Homecoming in Richmond, Indiana, also home to the National Model T Museum. This is a great day. I covered this event last year and I'm back again. I'm not going to cover the museum in such extensive detail, but do go and look at that video. It's a great video. Let's just have a relaxing afternoon and walk around, take a look at some Model Ts and maybe some other cars. I do want to start off by saying that the Model T Museum in Richmond, Indiana, which has an extensive collection, is open all year round. So although this event is nice, you don't have to wait until this event to visit. Just anytime you want to stop by, it's well worth the stop. And again, I did cover this museum in my 2023 homecoming video, so go and check that out. Hey, there's even a Model T Ford powered airplane. For now, let's go out and take a look at some of the cars that showed up for the show, and maybe take a look at the swap meet too. So the oldest car to show up at the meet is an in-process project car. This is a Ford Model N, and a super cool car to look at. The Model N was made from 1906 to 1908, and the NR and S were the cars that immediately preceded the Model T. Anyway, it's always great to see other people's projects, especially when they're as cool as this one is. This one is not going to be quite ready for Old Car Festival this fall, the owner tells me, but they will try and make it to the Paquette plant. Paquette, by the way, is a great museum in downtown Detroit featuring early Ford cars. I haven't covered that in a video just yet. Moving into the T era, here is a 1909. For those of you who don't know, they started making the Model T in 1908, and by the end of the run in 1927, they look like an entirely different car. So this is obviously a very early T. Instrumentation is completely non-existent. The box that you see on the dashboard there contains the 4 ignition coils with a switch that you can turn on to enable the coils. Then you have to go around front and start it with a hand crank. You don't see these early Ts at car shows too often, just because this is before Ford really became popular and production ramped up. I really like the patent plate on here where the purchaser of this Ford car agrees to register it with Ford with his name and address. That way they can send you mailers for spare parts, I guess. Nice early John Brown headlights. Down on the wheel, you can see the pickup for the accessory speedometer. Just a little gear and a pinion that turns a shaft that goes right up to the speedometer. It's just completely mechanically connected. No sign on this one, but 1911, I'm guessing. If so, this would be the last year for the optional red color. We're moving towards darker colors, although we're not quite into the all-black era. This one is no trailer queen and has been modified a little bit for some serious driving. Around back we can see a Ruxel 2-speed rear end, an upgrade to hydraulic brakes, and some modern stick-on high visibility tail lights so you don't get hit from behind. So obviously this one has seen some miles. Moving up a couple of years, we have a 1913 and a very nice one at that. Here we can see that the brass trim is starting to give way towards the black paint because brass at this time is starting to become a little passé. The blue color you see here was standard in 1913, although later in the year we moved to all black. Looking sharp with those aftermarket disc wheels, we've got a 1919 Roadster pickup here. I really like the little accessory hood ornament they've got there, a nice little biplane. Over next to it, we have another Roadster pickup. This one has a nicely done camper conversion on there. This one is a driver and has seen some miles. Wire wheels are accessory for the 1926-27 model year, although this car is a little earlier than that. This is a nice reminder that Model Ts were built for the road and meant to be driven. And this one certainly has. There's something you see on many cars of the era. You see the fully electric headlights and the kerosene side lights. This is typically seen on a car that would not have been equipped with a starter, although I believe this one probably has had that conversion. Built closer to the end of the production run was this very nice 1926 touring car. You can see next to the 13, it really looks nothing like the earlier cars. You can see that we are fully black here with the nickel-plated headlight rims.
That is no longer a cowl vent like on the earlier cars. The gas tank has been moved up to the cowl. On the earlier cars, it's actually under the seat. Here's another look at that 13, so you can see they really don't look like the same cars, although the powertrains on them are very similar. There's been so many updates from the first Model Ts to the last Model Ts. They're practically not even the same car. This one's had a few driving updates. You can see this also has the 2-speed Ruxtol rear end under there. The Ruxtol is actually, the second speed is an underdrive. It doesn't make you go any faster, but gives you a little bit more power if you want to climb up some hills. The Ruxtol, by the way, was not an official Ford part, but was a very popular accessory at the time. Nice, honest, hard-working 1924 touring car here. I kind of like them like this with a little bit of patina on them. Well, of course, if you followed my channel at all, you've sort of picked up on that. Looks mostly original. Very nice, very nice. From about mid-1923 up through 1925, the Model Ts are very hard to distinguish against one another. The design was sort of static throughout these years while they were working on the improved car, the 26, 27, which really just about everything about the body was different. He's a Roosevelt fan. New Deal politics is going to be the death of us, trust me on this one. No accounting for taste, I guess. Nice 1925 four-door, made up to look like a taxi cab. This would be a period-correct paint job, though. Model Ts, of course, at this era were cheap and plentiful and were really the go-to for a lot of commercial applications, including taxi cabs. He's got the little light-up taxi sign there, which is nice, and looks sharp with the disc wheels. Here's a nice 1915. This is the first year for electric headlights. You can see that they are black with a brass trim. That's a 1915 feature only. One of the great things I like about these early headlights is that they are magneto-driven. So the headlights actually get brighter with at higher engine RPMs. Can't quite see ahead of you? Just drive a little bit faster. Anyway, the side lights and the tail lights were still both kerosene. Compare that to this 1924. You can see the later electric tail light there. You would still get the kerosene taillight sometimes in 1924 if you did not buy the optional starter, but this guy obviously did because the original owner was apparently just made of money. Anyway, a very nice two-door here. Like I said, a 24, but it's going to be very similar to the 23 and 25. That vent right there is actually a cowl vent, unlike the gas tank filler that I showed you on the 27. Hey, not every car here is a Model T. Look at that. It is a Milburn Electric. Milburn is kind of an interesting company. They started as Milburn Wagon Works back in 1869. They moved to Toledo, Ohio in 1873, and actually they do have a Model T tie-in because they made some early Model T delivery bodies. They started making electric cars in 1914, and they continued all the way up until General Motors bought out their plant in 1923. For a short while after a plant fire, they were actually assembling cars on the grounds of Toledo University, now University of Toledo. I thought the rear end was kind of interesting. It's a worm drive with the drive shaft underneath, which is not typically what you see. So, in my way of thinking, it looks like it's upside down. There was no sign on it or anything to indicate that it was a Milburn Electric, but I did use my old Model T guy skills that I've used in the past to impress my friends by using the age-old trick of reading hubcaps. Here's a very serious-looking Model T Speedster. I really like the two-tone brown that they've got going on here, and the disc wheels really set it off. I don't really think I've ever seen disc wheels where I haven't really liked them. Anyway, the vintage sponsorship stickers are a nice touch. The front end has been lowered slightly in an interesting way. He's got some offset spring perches that allow the spring to sit a little bit behind and below where they would normally sit. That's going to lower the front end by, a couple of inches maybe. Engine mods include a distributor setup here with what I'm guessing is a Winfield carburetor with custom intake and exhaust to accommodate that. Really like the custom exhaust. Around back, we've got a Ruxtl 2-speed rear end. As I mentioned earlier, this is not something that will make you go faster. The Ruxtl is an underdrive that will give you more power. And sure enough, if you go around and look at the monocle windshield, he does do hill climbs. So that would be why he needs that more power on the low end. This is a rare car. What you see here is actually a pretty standard looking 1914 Roadster. But it has the salesman's sample box on the back. You see these a lot in early photographs and things, but you really hardly ever see them in real life. The Roadster looks all nice and original, and the sales box looks like it originally went with this car. The lettering and everything looks very perfect. The whole box, of course, would be able to detach, and it replaces the standard Roadster trunk. The box looks original. You can see it has wood sides up to a point, and this is all just like a leather or leatherette covering over the upper portion of it. There you can see the wood sides only go up to about pickup truck bed height. The construction of this is very interesting. And once again, this looks like an original box. It's just something that you never see, and I don't know, I'm impressed. Actually, the entire car here just looks like this time capsule from 1914. This is just a really impressive car to look at, and a body style you really never see. Over next to it, we have another commercial body. This is more of a Canopy Express body. What this is, it's an Express style pickup truck. I like the AAA from Miami, Ohio, which would be correct for the location of the car here. Anyway, this is a Canopy Express, so we have a pickup bed with a canopy over it, and then roll down side curtains to completely enclose it should the weather turn out to be inclement. Just judging by the hardware that I can see, this looks like an original restored body, although sometimes it can be hard to tell. My rule of thumb is that if it looks more complicated than it needs to be, it's probably an original. We got a nice little yellow Speedster here, but look at those wheels. That is something I don't think I've ever seen before. We've got, some spring steel spokes or something. I don't even know how to describe this, but those are really super neat wheels. Nicely done Speedster that they're attached to. Anyway, looks like somebody's built themselves just a fun car for tooling around. But let's pull back a little bit and look at those wheels again. Those are just unusual. Here's a little Model T Fire Chief's car, and this one the owner is willing to part with. It could be yours. There's his contact information right there. Anyway, I like the little bell that you can ring. Big old spotlight with the ladder on there. Looks like this is a fun car for tooling around or for parades. Another car that was available is this Model T delivery van, although this is, I believe, a modern reproduction. This is a body style that would have been available back in the day. This was being auctioned off as a fundraiser for the museum, although the auction closed the day I shot the video. So unfortunately, by the time you're viewing this, that auction will be over. Watch the museum website. They may have some other fundraisers coming up. Here's just a nice, straight 1918 Model T Roadster, unmodified without accessories. It just has nice proportions and a nice look to it, just the way it left the factory, and just a nice car. 1918 was the last year before the starter became an accessory. So you can see that it has the electric magneto-driven headlights, and the kerosene side lights would have been standard on this car. Hey, some other not Model Ts have shown up. This is I believe, a 1930 Model A, and over here we've got a 1931. Because the Model A was such a fresh start for the Ford Motor Company after the long run of the Model Ts, they started back over again at the beginning of the alphabet. So there's a 1903 Model A, but there's also a 1928 Model A. Nice quail hood ornament. That's very indicative of the Ford Model A. I believe that was an accessory. They had a Model B in 1932, but after that they just sort of gave up on the alphabet when we got into the V8 era. Anyway, this is not a Model B. This is another Model A. You see there we have no accessory quail hood ornament there. Here is a Model A pickup truck. This is a 31. Looking at hood ornaments again, this one is not the quail. This is another aftermarket accessory. This is a motometer that gives you the water temperature. There you can see from the driver's side, you can see the little thermometer so that you can monitor your water temperature as you drive. This one has, once again, no hood ornament at all there. The little grill guard in front of the radiator, that's an accessory just to protect your radiator from road hazards. Here's a 1926 or 27 Model T standing next to a Model A. For those of you that don't know, there you can see the differences between the very late Model T and the Model A. The Model A was really a giant step forward for Ford. By the late T era, Ford Motor Company had really fallen behind. Here you can see the interior was very utilitarian, and just a year newer, you have the Model A, which looks much more modern on the interior. It really sort of caught Ford up to the rest of the industry. There from behind, you can see that the Model A looks like a much newer car. Hey, speaking of much newer cars, here's a 1936. This is the only car here at the show representing the Ford Flathead V8 era, but it's a nice choice. Looks like an all-original car if that patina can be taken for original paint. Now, there's no sign on this, and I could be wrong, but I believe this is what is called the touring sedan body style. This is a two-door body style. Let's go in and take a look at that interior. Very nicely done. It has the standard Ford steering wheel. Some of these you see the banjo steering wheel on. That's actually an add cost option. You can see the bustle back on there as opposed to the fastback. Gives you a little bit more trunk space. Hey, I mentioned Model Bs before. Here is one. The 32 Model Bs featured an improved version of the Model A four-cylinder engine. There were also 1932 V8s, so these sold concurrently with the V8s. The V8 was the Model 18. Anyway, this Model B that you're looking at is maybe one of the nicest ones you're ever going to see. This is a restored but all original numbers matching car. In fact, when Jay Leno was working on a Model B himself, he sent his people down to look at this one. In fact, he tried to purchase it but was unsuccessful. Everything about this car is 100% correct. And this is, of course, a very rare car. You don't really see the Model Bs that often. Everything on the car is just a pleasure to look at, well, except I just can't get away from that damn Roosevelt. Listen, mister, we could use a guy like Herbert Hoover again. That's the way the song's supposed to go. Anyway, I'm not going to cover the swap meet really in detail, just in the interest of time. I ran kind of long looking at cars, but, that's okay. They even had seminars going on. Hey, maybe plan to attend next year.
Hey, so that was a little taste of the Model T Ford Homecoming in Richmond, Indiana, next to the Model T Ford Museum. This is an annual event, so if you like Model Ts, this is the place to be. Maybe plan to be here next year. Anyway, if you like this video, there's a link right about there to go and look at some of my other videos, or you can also click this link right about there, and you can subscribe to my channel. Anyway, until next time, I'll talk to you later. Bye.